All right. Great to see you, brother. It's been a minute. Thanks for coming on and doing the show, Vic, man. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. It's been a while, and
Absolutely.
I appreciate you thinking of me, man.
Of course. How's things in your world? Everything good?
Everything's good. Busy, good, which is always a good kind of busy,
Good.
right?
Busy with coaching clients or busy
Co-
with what?
yeah, coaching clients is the number one thing. There's other gigs out there right now that I'm working on, but I've really just focused on continuing to build a client base with Once Upon a Run, and
Good.
it's going really well. I feel like the world of running is has or racing has come back somewhat
Mm-hmm.
with very little restrictions now, and
Yep.
I think runners all around and fitness enthusiasts are starting to feel a little more comfortable lining up in the start line
Mm-hmm.
because a lot of the mandates have been lifted. So throughout the summer, I've had been lucky to be approached by a few more clients saying, "Hey, I'm ready to get back out there with your availability. I'd like to do a half marathon or
Mm-hmm.
a marathon in the fall." So it's been good. I mean, they're good to the fact that I wish there was times that I could clone myself.
Gotcha. That
Yeah,
busy,
yeah,
huh? No
yeah,
kidding.
yeah. Like I said, it's not a complaint or a gripe. This is what I love to do, but the issue that I'm running into, and you can probably relate to this, Adam, is just having it's just me. I don't have a coaching staff. I'm Once Upon a Run. That's me.
Mm-hmm.
So when you have multiple clients and they all want some sort of a running session with you, even when you spread it out, even like I think on average a running client of mine would like to run with me, do a training run session with me once a week, sometimes every other week, which if you think about it, it's not, that frequency is not much. But when you have 20 clients and they each want once a week or even if it's every other week, I run out of time in an
Yeah.
hour. And then I have to be careful with, I can't, I still have to take care of my own stuff because this is Once Upon a Run here. And if
Yeah.
I continue to say yes, 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 you can't, your body's gonna break down. And I'm always the first one to preach about rest is part of your training, it's part of your recovery. So that's the only time that those are the times that I wish I could kind of like what Michael Keaton did in that movie Multiplicity, if anyone's familiar with that, to
Yes.
clone yourself. So that's good stuff.
How are you finding all of your coaching clients? Is it mostly word of mouth? It seems like you're having some good success.
Yeah, so it's I would say a good amount of it is definitely word of mouth, and I think that's a good testament to how, if you're able to connect with your existing clients
Mhm.
and help them get through their training and just be there with them and staying, their biggest motivator. You'll find, I think that, yeah, they'll tell somebody, they'll tell their fellow runner or neighbor or friend, and then when they talk you up, I guess, and you would hope that's the case, they'll, next thing you know, I'll get a text from that client saying, "Hey, you may get a reach out from so and so. They want to maybe talk to you about possibly coaching." So yeah, so I definitely word of mouth, and I think like that's always a good thing because like I said, that speaks volume, I think, to the kind of relationship that you build with your clients.
Totally. Totally.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah.
And word of mouth usually comes from good business practices. So,
That,
how are you maintaining these relationships? And just from what I've seen online, it looks like you're going over to people's houses and setting up little TRX stations and taking them through those workouts. And as well as the TRX workouts, you're on the track like early in the morning.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So you've been watching. That's
Oh,
good.
yeah.
I like that, man. Thank you. Yeah. So yeah, I one of the things that I was always looking to, just like yourself as a small business owner, you're always looking to expand outside of what you normally offer. Obviously, the run coaching is, it's what I offer, but I decided that, a few years back, I got the certification of being a TRX instructor,
Oh,
and I got the certification through the local Y that I worked for, and I started doing small group classes there. And then I became a big advocate of TRX because I feel like it's a great strength training because it's all suspension training, and you work with your own body weight. And I think it's a great combination with your running. I mean, any strength training is a good combination with anyone's running. So yeah, so I decided, to offer some personal one-on-ones with TRX. It started like, early in this year. And again, that started with someone who used to take my small group TRX class at the Y.
mm,
And then when the pandemic shut everything down, she kind of reached out and said, "Hey, would you be interested in, do you have a TRX strap of your own?" I'm like, "I do." And she said, "Do you mind coaching me or training me one? Because I miss it." And, I started with that. And then it kind of evolved into like, you know what? I think I can offer this as an additional service through Once Upon a Run,
mhm.
personal training, strength training, TRX format. And I'm happy to say that it's actually evolved to the point where, again, like I've had a good amount of success in terms of like clients signing up for whether they want the 4-pack or the 8-pack. So there's a couple of different things that they can choose from as far as what I offer. And the nice thing about TRX is certainly it's a good additional asset to the business, but it does not take a physical toll on me
Okay. Gotcha.
because the fact that, like I'm basically giving them through the workout and I'm making sure like their form is correct. So it's, aside, if you compare that to running with the clients all the time, again, it goes back to like my body's taking a beating. So it's a
Mhm.
nice break from running, and it's also it helps a little bit with the business. So it's been good.
Yeah, that's cool, man. I think it's a great idea. So you're not actually doing these TRX workouts with them. You're just kind of coaching them through it, watching their form, that kind of thing.
Correct. Yeah, because I remember when, just like with any personal training format, I mean, even if anyone hires a personal coach through like fitness or Planet Fitness or what have you, the trainer, a personal trainer, you're not, you're supposed to demonstrate and show them this is the right form.
Mhm.
This is what you want to do. But unlike when I teach spinning or when I'm running, I'm actually doing the workout with them. So it's very important. The most important key with personal training when it comes to strength training is to make sure that you are watching the clients to make sure they're not doing anything they're not supposed to do. Like, okay, that strap's not supposed to be around your neck. Let me show you how it's done. So yeah, so once in a while and this is something that I make clear to a new TRX client. Session one usually starts with, these is the fundamentals of TRX, this is the benefits, this is what we're going to do. And then, if a client signed on for an 8-pack session, I tell them my goal is to get them stronger from week 1 all the way through 8 weeks later. And then I'm always amazed. And sometimes, I don't know if you've seen, I actually videotape some of their moves,
Mhm.
and I specifically, and I'll get their consent obviously, and before I post it or anything like that, but I'll actually, videotape them doing like, the TRX, power pull or something. And during the very first session, they can barely do it. But then 6, 7 weeks later, they're doing it with ease. And to me, that's the power of like really being a good motivator and encouraging. And then, in the beginning, it's like, I don't know if I can do this, but then as long as you keep working with them and keep motivating them, it ends up being a really good experience.
That's
So
cool. That's really cool.
yeah.
I'm also curious, and I'm just asking all these questions for my own personal edification and with our business, and just looking for advice. But do you coach anybody virtually, like somebody that you have not personally worked out with?
Yes, I have.
How do you
Which is
approach that?
so. So I have specifically a client right now who I met. She came into Delaware Running Company, which is the run specialty store I work at.
Mm.
And then, she came in looking for shoes, and we went through a fit process, and then she and I started talking about like what the benefits of the type of shoes I recommend or whatever. And then somehow I think she mentioned she was looking to do her first half marathon, and we kind of talked casually. And then I think at one point she said, "You seem to know a lot about running." So I said, "Well, I'm a running coach." And so anyway, she wanted to get my information, and and then I gave her my card. But she was actually only home from college. She goes to college in Alabama.
Okay.
So she said, "Would you be able to train me virtually?"
Mm.
I said, "Well, it's not something I normally do or have done, but let me think about this. I don't think it's impossible. I think we'll just have to take a different approach to it." So I went home and I thought about it, because I'm so used to actually physically connecting with my clients by having running sessions with them. So, but she has ended up being one of my best clients. So the way we ended up doing is we talked about her goals. We talked about, aside from doing her first half marathon, did she have a specific goal about that half marathon? So I basically, built her a training plan based on what I felt would be the right level of training for her, because she's kind of new into the running. And then the relationship has just been a lot of texting and emailing, because I said, "Look, the best way for me to help you go through this training without actually training you is I need to make sure that you're going to stay committed by, here's your training plan, you follow it as best as you can, and then I would like for you to text me your stats after each run so we can kind of talk about it, and then and I can kind of coach you through it." So she is actually my first and only virtual client, and I feel like it's been pretty successful. She's really made a lot of improvements, and I'm thinking this is probably something that I can do in the future. As a matter of fact, if you recall, meeting Sarah in Colorado, she says hi, by the way.
Oh, hi to her.
Sure, yeah. She actually had mentioned this to me. There's really no real reason for you not to coach someone who lives in California. A lot of running coaches actually do it virtually. I just always preferred to do it to start off locally because I wanted that connection. But it's something that I would definitely continue doing if I feel like it's going to help others out there.
Cool. Yeah, I'm doing the same thing, coaching a couple people virtually, and it's gone really well. But there is an element of not being able to connect with that person. And, I have clients that I've been training for almost a year now, and I've never physically worked out with them.
Right.
Which is crazy, but it's working good. There's a lot of texting and emailing going back and forth as far as communication. And I've got kind of a crazy idea, and people might do this. I don't even really know, but I just wanted to run it by you. Like, have you ever considered, like, say your coaching client that's out of state, she wants to start doing some strength training. Would you ever consider doing like a TRX or strength training session over Zoom? Or is that just a ridiculous idea?
No, absolutely. It's not ridiculous. And to answer your question, I have thought about that.
Okay.
I don't really see that any different than when people take advantage of the Peloton app, right? Where you do everything really virtually.
Yeah.
And I think that the advantage for you and me to do something like that is, like so I think when you do the Peloton, you're doing it live, or some of the, I think you can do some of the classes live, but the instructors, they don't really know you. So the advantage, I think, is if I was doing a TRX strength training over Zoom with someone, like I'm actually calling you, all right, Adam, let's go, let's get this done. It's different than when you're doing a Peloton where they're talking to an audience of, I don't know how many, hundreds at one time.
Right.
And they don't really know, I don't know if they may see names on the screen, but it's not the same kind of connection. So absolutely, I've actually thought about that. And then the only other the only like for me, since I do mainly the TRX format, the only issue would be, I guess, if that individual doesn't have a pair of TRX straps.
Sure.
But it's an easy investment. I
Yeah.
mean, you can buy, they come in different packages. I mean, you don't need, like there's the pro level or something, but all they need is the basic strap with a door anchor, and then I can, go through the whole process of training. So absolutely, that would be another way of expanding the business, where you basically don't have to leave the comfort of your home, right? So
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, man, just throwing ideas out there, but it's amazing how much you can do with just a set of TRX straps or one or two kettlebells. I mean, you can really work yourself hard with that stuff.
Absolutely, I agree. And then, so it's interesting that you mentioned kettlebells and stuff, because it's the TRX format that I offer, but I really should call it TRX Plus, because sometimes I might have taken a couple of videos there. Sometimes I'll talk to the client about like, hey, this is what we're gonna do. Like 90% of the time, every time we get together, you're gonna be working on the strap, but there may be times I may take you off the strap and bring out the slam balls or the battle ropes, and they actually love that idea because it switches things up. So so I would probably say, like if I really broke it down, I really offer like TRX Plus, because 85% of the time of the workout, within that hour, you're on the strap. But then there's times where let's get over here and let's do some med ball explosions or something like that. And then, and I always find that the client is receptive to it, because it just kind of gives them a break off the strap and do something different.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you're pretty busy, man. I mean, congrats on all the success. Let me get this right. So you're doing personal training with a whole lot of clients. You're teaching a spin class. You're running track in the morning.
Right.
Speed work. You're working at a running shoe store. Is that it, or do you have more than that?
No, I mean, no, that's the good. That's the bulk of it. But I guess I haven't mentioned that I actually coach for a local all-girls private Catholic school, cross country, and so that actually takes up a lot of my time. And this is a gig that I landed last year. This is my second year being with the girls, and it's been a great experience. I've actually learned a lot from my head coach, because she's been coaching these girls, this team, for I think like 12 years. And then the last 9 years, she's made them the defending state champions. No one's beaten this team for the past 9 years. So, so I'm, I'm doing that as well. So yeah, life is certainly like I said, it's very busy these days. And by the end of the day at nighttime, Adam, I'm just completely knocked out, but I can't wait to get up in the morning and do it all over again.
Yeah.
Because as you know, when it comes to this industry, specifically running as being the base and the foundation, and then everything else that surrounds it, expanding into the TRX, and then the spinning I think is another good combo with your, inspiring people. And at the same time, it keeps me pretty healthy. And then, working at the running store, and then helping coach a cross-country team. It's all good stuff. I mean, like I said, it's I complain in a good way. It's like, and like I said, the only thing I wish I had was more time and more hours, because I could help more people, because that's what it's all about. I mean, I think you and I have had this conversation before. I'll speak for myself. I do this not for the income, not for the money. There is none of that. I mean, there are days sometimes I'm like, how am I going to pay my car leases? But somehow I feel like the good deed that you do, it works out somehow, something. And it could be as simple as at the last minute, a running client will say, Vic, are you available tomorrow for a session? I'm like, you know what? I am. And then that would be, would supplement like other things that you need in terms of like, taking care of like paying bills and stuff, but it's all good stuff.
Right. That's awesome, man. You're busy. It's fantastic. Good for you. And if we can push any more clients your way, if you're willing to accept them, man, it's I'd love to spread the love around for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, man, before I forget, congratulations on getting married. I'm so
Oh,
happy for you
thanks.
guys.
Thanks,
Yeah, I
buddy.
love I love the pictures. When Sarah and I were looking at them, we're like, oh, look at these two, man. They're just two of the best people in the world. Like, good
Wow.
for them. They deserve each other. And then the pictures were just epic. It's
Mhm.
just, it was just, I'm sure you've heard it from dozens of people. It was just you guys, and it was just wonderful. So
Yeah.
congrats.
Thanks, man. It was a lot of fun. It was just us and a photographer and a dog handler.
Yeah,
So there's just four of us that came up because
that's
our
great.
dog's such a spaz. She would jump all over us at the inopportune times when they're trying to take pictures and whatnot. So
Yeah.
there was only four of us, and it was beautiful up at 14,000 feet. We got up
Wow.
early in the morning, and it was definitely cold up there. Like my hands were so cold, I couldn't button my shirt up and I needed help doing it. But yeah, man, it was beautiful. It was beautiful.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Um, so as busy as you are, Vic, like how do you find balance? Because like you mentioned, you have to take care of yourself first. Otherwise, everything else is going to fall apart. All your
Correct.
coaching clients, business you're trying to run is all going to fall apart if you're not taking care of yourself first. So how do you do that?
So, as much as I do my best to cater to my clients by being there for them, and not just physically, but also connecting with them. I mean, I'm sure um, uh, you go through the same thing where my phone never stops exploding
Mhm,
with text messages, and
mhm.
I try to really respond as best as I can, as quick as I can, because I always think about it in a way where, like, every client that I have, I want them to feel like they're the only client, right? So, but there are times, like, I may not get to responding like until the next morning or something. But um, I I I I do my best to answer your question. I do my best to make sure that, as much as I would want and wish for more hours during the day, I do make sure that I reserve some time for myself,
Mhm.
because you're absolutely right. Because if you don't, you're just going to shut down, and then that's not going to benefit myself, or my client. So, um, when people say sometimes, I'd like to get into running, but I just don't have the time. There are times I'm kind of like, well, is that really true? Because,
Right.
if you were willing to get up just a little bit earlier,
Mhm.
there's always time. I
Sure.
think there's always time. Now, in some cases, for some people, that may be absolutely true, but I think for most, there's always a way, if you're willing to find that time. So I will sometimes get up early if I can. I'm up usually all the time, and then um, I'm a big advocate of just meditation is something that keeps me balanced.
Mhm.
I don't need a lot of it. I just need, in terms of time, I need a good 15, 20 minutes where I just shut everything down, like your basic meditation methods, in terms of like just closing your eyes and breathing and appreciating and listening, and then to your body and your mind, just calming everything down. And then that doesn't take a lot of time,
Mhm.
20 minutes max. And then when I'm finally out of that meditation state, I that's enough for me to just keep going, you know.
And you're meditating first thing in the morning?
I try as much as possible, yes.
Okay.
When the world and the earth is quiet is the best time for me.
Mhm.
Um, I have a side patio where I'll get out there before the neighborhood wakes up, and I'll try to do my best to get out there and just kind of, feel the fresh air. It's one of those screen porches that I just, and if not, sometimes I'll just do it in my room. I'll find a corner and I'll sit down, and, like, the surrounding sometimes helps, but a lot of times you just need a little bit of space to just kind of get into that state,
Mhm.
you know.
Yeah,
So.
big time. Do you use like apps or listen to anything on YouTube while you're meditating, or is it just silence? And are you just counting your breaths, or what particular style are you using?
Yeah, no apps. I know there's plenty out there that's really good for you. I've heard a lot of them, or a lot about them, but at this point for me, I'm just choosing to just kind of do it on my own, and it's something that's been working for me.
Good.
So yeah, I find that if I just do the meditation on my own it's working for me. So
Mhm.
I intend to keep it that way until I feel like, well, maybe you know, there's a need to change it up and maybe take a look at some of these apps, which I'm
Yeah.
sure they're wonderful things, but right now I'm good with just kind of doing it on my own.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like I love meditating and it's something I do probably not every day, but I do it several times a week and try and do it every day. Do you feel like that's literally like the glue that holds you together? It sounds like that's kind of it right there. Like if you're meditating, then the rest is pretty much good. Is that right?
Yeah,
Nice.
absolutely. Yeah. And the funny thing is, I don't go around telling that I don't, it's kind of like my secret weapon, like
Hmm.
I not a lot of people or my clients know that I meditate almost on a daily basis. But because I don't, there's really no need if somebody, unless somebody asks me like, hey, are you into meditation? Yeah. And, but yeah, I mean, like I said, it's just a good 15, 20 minutes of it's just that Zen time, just kind of calm everything down. And just, it's for me, I focus on just, when I clear my head, I start thinking about how much I appreciate what I'm doing and what I'm doing in terms of like being able to help any of my clients to just, get to their goals, and then, and everything else really will fall into places. So yeah, absolutely. So yeah, the meditation to me definitely is what keeps me going. So
Yeah. And gratitude is huge, isn't it? Like when you
absolutely.
really spend some time just being grateful for where you're at in life and the things that you have and the people that are in your life and the love that's surrounding you. And you spend a little bit of time for that and hold space for it, like every day, if you can, then you just get more of that. There's just more of it that comes into your life. It's like really this, again, like a secret weapon. It's really powerful.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree. And and it's one of those things where gratitude, yes, when you put things in perspective, is when you really appreciate and makes you grateful to the things that you have.
Mhm.
I mentioned earlier about like sometimes, I come across issues where paying a bill, right?
Mhm.
Paying, but because you can't not, well, you cannot pay your bills, but then you've got the collection people calling you. But anyway, um, but then at the end of the day, man, it's like it's all good, like it's yeah, everyone goes through that, and then I don't let those things like get to me, because if you do, then it's just going to bring you down and down and down, and then next thing you know, you're going to lose focus, and I just refuse to do that. So I'm going to continue working on the positive things and the things that I'm grateful for.
Mhm.
And like I said, I think you and I have talked about it many times. The biggest reward from being a running coach and being a trainer is just the progress and the results that I'm able to witness my clients accomplish.
Mhm.
And then even though no one's ever writing me a big check at the end saying, hey, it's not about that. It's that the thanks that you get.
Mhm.
And then, and there's other monetary things that comes out of it. Like, like we said, they'll tell somebody, and that somebody will tell someone. And then that's just how it keeps going for me. So
Yeah. Yeah. Um, but you weren't always a runner. You came to running a little bit late in life.
yeah.
And for the people that don't know your story, yeah, just kind of gloss over it. And if I remember right, weren't you like in the banking world or the investment world or something at one point?
Yeah, at one point for a long time I was in the call center environment in the banking industry for like 20 something years.
Whoa.
And then I was behind the desk, working the shift work, because the call center had to cover the West Coast time, so I was working till like 10 p.m., 1 a.m. and managing, you know, anywhere from 15 to 18 people, or and sometimes a job like that, you know, managing a unit sometimes ends up being like, you really honestly babysitting, because you know it's just. And then yeah, you know, but certainly I didn't plan to get into banking. I fell into it and I worked hard to get to move up, but it was, you know, just being coming into a building every morning or every day or 5 days a week and sitting down, and it's just, yeah, it burnt me out, man. You know, it got to the point where, like, you know, I tell this story all the time, and I keep saying it over and over again. Yeah, it take it from me, like when I was in my banking days, and worked my ass off to get up to that managing level. Yeah, yeah, the income level was here. I get it, but the happiness level was here.
Mm.
And then it just like, you know, and I had no time for anything else, let alone running. And then I think it was like one, you know, like, so finally one day I just decided to just lace up and go. And then, you know, I just kind of got into it. And then, but yeah, I mean, I was in that industry where I look back now and I'm just like, God, you know, like if I had known any better when I was younger, I would have I would have gotten out of it earlier and then
Mhm.
do this. But yeah, but I mean, again, no regrets, you know, like it's not about regrets, it's about kind of like, it's a learning thing, you know, like I maybe a little too late now, but at least you can look back and
Mhm.
realize like, you know, at least you're doing this now, you know, like you could still be doing that and being. So yeah, but to your point, running came kind of late. I mean, you know, like, and somehow it just kind of evolved to this point where I elevated my own running for myself, and it just became a very, you know, even to this day, it's really very therapeutic. And I think that's the same. That's true for probably most all runners.
Mhm.
That's why we do it. That's why you do it. It's because, especially, you know, getting out there and hitting the trails when you're just surrounded by Mother Nature, it's just such a beautiful thing, you know. It's and I can't emphasize that enough. So but yeah, and I'm gonna continue doing everything that I can to improve my own running. At the same time, I can use that, whatever skill I develop, and help, you know, running clients, currently and also future running clients.
Mhm. Yeah, you're following your passion, man. And that is
Yeah,
really what it all boils down to.
yeah,
Like, if you can't follow your passion, how are you going to be functional in society without, I don't know, a certain level of depression or anxiety? Or, you know, so many people work these jobs they don't like and come home and self-medicate,
yeah,
and you're able to do what you love on a day-to-day basis. So it's a beautiful thing, man. Um,
yeah, yeah.
And at this point, you've run countless marathons, a bunch of ultras, a couple of Ironmans. You've pretty much done it all at this point.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like, for me personally, like, anything that I do, that I sign up for or register for, is really something that I just want to enjoy and have fun with. I mean, there may be times I may decide that, you know, um, if it's a marathon or whatever, I may decide I'm gonna try to race it rather than run it. But you know, it's nice, like you get to the point where you're able to decide that on your own.
Mhm.
You know, like I was talking to Sarah the other day, and we recently went up to Corning, New York, maybe like a month ago, and um, she ran a half. It was the wine glass marathon, running event. So there, I ran the full, and she ran the half. And I was telling her that, you know, that was my 26th full marathon.
Wow.
And I said, I think, you know, I might just tap my marathon, my 26.2s, to maybe 30. So maybe four more to go. And then I can choose, like, destination marathons would be cool. But I told her, I said it'd be nice if I can grab one of those remaining four marathons and do one internationally, you know,
Yeah.
now that the pandemic is kind of slowed down a little bit. And boy, if I had my choice of an international marathon, I would love to do Tokyo.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That'd be a
Japan
great
is always
race.
one of those countries I always wanted to visit.
Me too.
Not just, yeah, you know, like just the history of it and the culture of it. And then so yeah, so you never know. So but yeah, so guess my point there is that, like you said earlier, like I feel like I've done just enough for me, and now the rest of it is just enjoy it, just have
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Um, and you're not a spring chicken either. Neither am I. Correct
No,
me if I'm wrong, but
no.
you're in your 50s, right?
Yeah, I'm 52, and sometimes my body will say, "Hey, you're 52." You and then so that's why when we talked about when you asked me earlier about balance, you know, like where you have to sometimes slow down a little bit and then take care of yourself. Certainly, yes, the meditation helps me remind myself of that. You know, like I try my best to get enough sleep, but it's hard sometimes after a long day. You're just so wired up. But the nice thing about where I am now is there are days, not every day, but there are days sometimes where I can have a pocket of like a 2 hour window where I don't have my next client.
Mhm.
And if I don't have anything to do with the business, you know what I do, man? Like an old man, I take a nap. And then I get that power nap, and you wake up and you're like, all right, next off
Good
to
to
the
go.
next client.
Yeah.
It's so there's ways, and I think that goes back to I'll add that to your question about balance, like you know, like little sleep sessions
Mhm.
always helps you. So
Yeah. Sleep is huge. It's highly underrated. Like you have to sleep, especially if you're working out a lot. There's pretty much no way. There's a few anomalies out there, but there's pretty much no way around it.
absolutely, yeah, I agree 1,000%. And then um, you know, I do at times, most of the time I'm able to just, you know, if I'm ready to go to bed, if my body's gonna let me shut it down, I can go out quick, which is good.
Mm.
But then there are times too where somehow again you're just so wired up, and you know your body's just not letting you shut it down. But I think I'm lucky in a way that most of the time it does allow me to do that. And when it does, it's like, you know, like I, I'd be I'd be looking at my phone for a second. Next thing you know, I'm out.
Yeah.
So you know, but I'll take that. That's something that you need.
Oh,
So
that feels so good though. When you've worked so hard throughout the day that you're so tired, you just go right out like that. There's a rewarding feeling to that.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I look back sometimes to like what kind of day I had. Like it might have started with that track workout, and then it went from that to two clients in a row and doing some admin work, and then next thing you know, a quick lunch, and then off to coach the high school girls, and then after that another client, and then after that grab some dinner, and then next thing you know, by 8, 9 o'clock, you're ready to shut it down, and
Mhm.
then I would it's interesting, man, but I would rather at this point in my life to have that kind of a long day versus having a long day like going back to the banking industry, because
Totally.
I'm just really enjoying it. And
Mm.
then and I'm you know and I have a lot of support from my friends and uh people that are close to me, and they understand that, you know, like this is not a lucrative business at all, but it's not about that.
Mhm.
It's never been about, and it's never going to be about that. It's about just being there for your clients, for individuals, and helping them, you know, get to their goals.
Yeah. Yeah, and your passion comes through when you speak as well. It sort of exudes off of you, and yeah, you just feel like a really passionate person when it comes to running and helping out your clients and whatnot. And I don't know if it comes with age, but yeah, I just got to a certain point in my own life where, you know, I had kind of done most of the things I'd wanted to do physically as far as races. I mean, there's always races I want to do, but, you know, as far as most of the distances. And then it's like, you know, I just got to a point where I just would rather help other people than focus on my own, you know, goals. You know, as much as I like going out and crushing a big race and feeling great about myself, you know, I can get by with one of those
Yeah,
every couple of years. It's not like I have to go out and do four of those every single year to feel good about myself.
right. Yeah, I agree. I think maybe for you and me, we've gotten to the point where there's really, I mean, I don't know about you, but I feel like sometimes, because you had mentioned those accomplishments that I've had and I've made or done, but I feel like for me, like there's really nothing much more to prove to myself or to anybody really. I feel like, I've gotten to the point now where like, yeah, I would rather spend the time, most of the time anyway, to help others. And
Mhm.
then and then once in a while you'll be like, you know what? It becomes secondary that you'll be like, you know what, maybe I'll do another ultra or
Mhm.
something. And then but it's not the priority right now. The priority right now is just, being the best coach that I can be for my clients, and then helping them realize their aspirations and their goals. And then like, because like I said, like I have a lot of clients now that are about to end um their journey with me because a lot of their races are coming up in the next month.
Mm.
And then I often wonder, like, what's that going to mean for the business, right? Like, but I'm happy to say history tells me that after they finish this journey with them, they're almost ready to be like, hey, I want to continue working with you.
Mm.
I want to do this in the spring.
Mhm.
And so it's good. And I think that again goes back to that connection that you build with your clients.
Mhm.
And a lot of it, most of it, it really just comes down to just continuing to just check in with them, like even if I have clients who I don't get to run with because their schedule doesn't really give them the time to do that. But if like I often will go through my Excel spreadsheet of clients and kind of go through like down the list. Okay, I haven't heard from Christina in the last week. Let me just, hey, how's it going?
Mhm.
What do you need from me? And then I find that they really appreciate that
Mhm.
because
Yeah,
you're staying invested, and that's a huge thing.
that's huge. Yeah. You did have time to squeak in a 100 miler last year, though, right?
I did,
You
yes, that
did
was actually
Bryce 100.
I did. Yeah, this past May.
Nice.
Yes.
Okay. I want to
Yeah.
hear about that too, because we texted a little bit before and afterwards, and
Yeah.
but I haven't really heard the full version of it. So I'd love to hear about that race.
Yeah. So after you and I met last year in
Mhm.
Colorado, I took some time off. But Bryce was something that was supposed to happen in 2020.
Okay.
But then we mentioned how COVID said, no, it's not
Right.
happening.
Right.
And then I found that race with Santa Cristo where I met you,
Hmm.
and that was one of the few ultras that was like, hey, we've got this going on. There's not really, we're in the middle of nowhere, and they were in the middle of nowhere. So,
Hmm.
but then after that, I had deferred to the Bryce in 2021,
Okay.
but I had kind of not trained for it, not on purpose. It's just life got in the way of. I expanded the client base for Once Upon a Run. I was busy training, and it wasn't until like, God, man, honestly, like maybe um a month and a half out, Sarah was like, "Are you gonna do Bryce?" I was like, I guess so. So it came down to like, you know, um, the training wasn't there, and it was really too late for me to even start. But I felt like for me, I felt like, well, you have the experience. You know what you're gonna go through. You know what your mind and body is gonna go through. So, and your body, they say that your body will recall, it'll remember, the agony and the misery you'll go through. You're just gonna have to just suck it up.
Hmm.
And then, so yeah, so I went out there with a great crew, and my goal, as always, with the big 100 milers is I I make sure I have enough time to meet the cutoff time. So the Grim Reaper is always behind me, way behind me, because I know at the later checkpoint is going to try to be right behind me.
Right.
But my point is always stay ahead of it. And then, and you know, this Bryce gave you a 36-hour cutoff, and I was telling my team, I do not care if I come in at 35, 55. I don't care as long as I get the same medal as the first place person.
Mhm.
And the only difference is maybe 18-hour difference, maybe, and they get the prize money. But that's them. That's not me.
Right.
You know. So, but boy, man, it was so beautiful out there. I mean, Utah, just the West. You know, it's just, you know, and that's the thing that gets me going at him when I'm out there doing these things, especially out there, specifically and out in the West, in the vast mountains and stuff. Very different from where I am here in the East Coast.
Mm.
And those are the moments that I remind myself, like, just look around you, like look where you are, and look what you're doing. I know you're in pain. I know you're tired, but you know, you talk about gratitude in terms of like, I put that out there because I'm like, there's a lot of people, believe it or not, would be wishing to do what you're doing right now,
Yes.
and they can't for
Right.
whatever reason. It could be an ailment, a physical thing, whatever, but you're here. So what if everything hurts? It's supposed to hurt. That's what this sport is about. But yeah, it was I was happy again to just make the cutoff, to make the to be an official finisher. That's always my goal. I look back to the experience again. I had an incredible crew team that really took care of me out there, and you know, and it was just another like you know, like the experience with those things, as you know, is just, it's, you know, you probably get asked the same question, like, why do you do that? Why do you do that to yourself? Like, for me, it's like, it's the same answer for me over and over again. And I think I mentioned this last time we talked. It's always, I feel like my biggest takeaway from doing an ultra like that is like, if, you know, I think and I realize if I can survive something like that, I can really handle anything that life throws at me. And then also that feeling of elation that you have when you finish, when you cross the finish line. And then it's just an amazing feeling. So, but yeah, Utah was beautiful. Bryce was beautiful. I mean, like, I miss it already. I mean, there are times we talk about, you know, is there a day in the future that we could actually be out there somewhere? We're not ruling it out. It's just, yeah. So
Yeah, for sure.
yeah.
And you usually use like the same crew and pacers for all your ultras, right? So these are old buddies of yours. So yeah, you guys know each other really well. I'm sure that we get to a certain point and things are just clicking. They know you, you know them. You don't have to ask a lot of questions.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and to answer your question, yes, I have specifically two guys, both names Johns, who have been my main crew pacers for the past few ultras.
Awesome.
And these two specifically know exactly what to do without even me asking them or telling them what to do. And then if there's any new crew or team members that join the adventure, I tell the Johns to, you guys are in charge. You know, like, I try to explain to the new people how it's going to go down, but for the most part, I leave that to the two Johns to kind of like, hey, this is what's going to happen. This is what we need you to do to make this a successful event for Vic, and to make this a fun adventure for everybody.
Yeah.
And then they kind of talk about like the logistics, and talk about, sometimes even give each person a job, a duty, or whatever at the aid stations and stuff. So but yeah, boy, to me, it's very important to have people that you can trust, that you can depend on. I've had many fellow runner friends who, when they find out I'm going to do one of these things, you know, I want to do it, but then I have to politely like explain to them, you know, like, it takes a special kind of individual to be a good pace crew member. And you know that you're in the business. It's like everything from just recognizing what your runner is going through and what they need, when to leave them alone, when to motivate them. And so yeah, so when you have, if you're lucky enough to have runner friends that have been there with you during a few of these events, it's a big advantage. So yes.
Yeah, big advantage. It's huge. And I read your race report a while back, and if I remember right, I think that you started like hallucinating dragons or something at the end of the race.
Yeah, I don't even remember exactly, but I believe there was yes. I'll tell this story real quick because I wrote about it in my little write-up race.
Because I love a good hallucination story.
Yeah. So one of my pacer friends, John Martiello, I got kudos to him and to everybody really, but specifically John, he gave me like from 77 all the way to the finish.
Nice.
Okay. I remember saying to him like, hey, what's your running level these days? And he was like, what do you need? I said, well, I need, so-and-so is going to give me this. And then, but I need someone from 77 on. And he said to me in my text, I'm your Huckleberry. We're doing this. I'm like,
nice.
Great. So, and that's the point, like your runner, if a runner at that point when doing 100, you're just freaking miserable. You're just, and then John is so patient. I mean, there were times I was arguing with him, telling him, your GPS is wrong. We should be at mile 90. And he's like, dude, just calm down. So I think it was around like in the 90s. And, you just want to get it done because you're so close, right? But yet you're so far. And it's like now it's like you're getting close to the cutoff but you just want to get it over with. I think we were going up this trail. And then I'm leading the pace because sometimes I'll say, let me lead, or sometimes I'll let you lead. Mm-hmm. And I come around this corner, man, and I stop dead in my tracks. And he's like, what? And I said, you see that? And dude, Adam, I'm looking at a Komodo dragon in the middle of the freaking trail. And I saw at one point, I even saw the tongue like do one of these, right?
Whoa.
And then John's behind me, he's looking and he's like, I said, and I'm frozen. And this is like mile 93, I think. And I said, and I'm in fear. And he's like, dude, it's a rock. And then I kind of did one of these, like close my eyes and blink for a long time and open them. And I was like, okay, you're right, it's a rock. But for those who didn't see, he took a picture of this rock. And I put it on my blog, I think, when I wrote about it.
Okay.
I'm telling you, I would show people and they're like, I could see that.
Yeah.
And then they're like, it's a rock. I know it's a rock, but my point is, it looks like.
Yep.
And then even to this day, John will sometimes tease me and be like, Komodo dragons they're native to the island of Komodo, not Utah. I'm nice. Like, yeah, I know that. But my point is, it to me, it looked like a dragon. Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah. It's amazing the things you see out there after mile 90 or so,
Yeah.
That's crazy. So, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a similar sort of hallucination not that long ago where I swore that I saw a prairie dog sticking its head out of the ground. It looked like a little hole in the ground, and it was sticking his head out of the ground and looking at me. And I stopped and I'm like, okay, well, he's going to go back in his hole when I get a little bit closer, and I get closer and closer and the thing's not moving. And I'm like, why isn't it moving? Like, hello. And I'm waving my hands, like, go back in your hole. And then I get a little bit closer and yeah, it's just a rock.
Just a rock. Yeah.
Okay. I am in loony land.
Yeah. No, it's, I think your mind is just so tired at that point. It just plays tricks on you. It kind of reminds me of, you ever see the movie, the Pixar movie Up?
No, never seen it.
Okay, there's a scene there where they land on top of this mountain and there's these rock formations that look like someone standing If you
Okay.
look at it like a person standing, like
Mhm.
and then when you're tired, you're just not thinking right. That's why, yeah, for me, I saw a Komodo dragon, you saw a prairie dog. It's just, it's part of the sport, right? And then that's like, that may be part of the allure for me is like, hey, what else can I imagine next time? So
How far off into loony land can I go without drugs on
exactly.
this particular adventure?
Yeah, right.
Wow. Wow, man. Um, so cool. What a great conversation. I've missed you, man. So it's good catching up. And I wanted to hear a little bit about Bryce. You've done a couple hundreds in Utah now, right?
I have. So the first one was Zion back in 18. And I can pretty much guarantee you that it probably won't. Well, I guess I'm saying this for the first time since Bryce, but I I'm pretty sure I'll be back again
Yeah.
somewhere in that region of the country and out in the west, whether it be Colorado, Utah, California, whatever. Uh, but it's funny how, I don't know about you, but after you do an ultra, not too long after, you've probably gotten questions like, what's going to be your next one?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for a while, I couldn't even think of. I was like, no, no, I'm done. I'm not gonna do that anymore. But then a few months go by, and you hear stories, and I see the things that you do, and then you're just kind of like, it starts, that ultra marathon Kool-Aid coming across your table again, and you want to drink it. So, but yeah, I mean, I've, I don't know, it's weird, man. I feel like there's certainly a lot of ultras here in my region in the East Coast,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not absolutely not opposed to doing something in the PA area, Jersey, or which I have, it's been a while, but I don't know. Like for me personally, there's always something about being out there in the more open ranges. So we'll see. But I mean, like I've got nothing in the books right now. I mean, maybe I'll start giving it some serious thought starting next year and see what's out there. So yeah, but it is what keeps us it's what keeps us feeling alive, right? Like the running is just something that just, moving is just an absolute, like, such a benefit that your body needs. And then if you're a runner, like it is the one thing that you look forward to. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what strikes me as impressive about you is you have this good relationship with running. You're not running 4 ultra marathons a year and crushing your body. And I would have to guess you're not coaching your clients to do that either. Once in a while, people get crazy and they want to fit a couple races into a year. And sure, that's great. But yeah, it seems like you have a real healthy relationship with it. Um, and going back to the meditation thing, have you always meditated or have you been doing it for a number of years? And where did you learn how to meditate?
so I've been doing it for just a few years,
Okay.
and it's just something I just kind of started reading into. I mean, everyone knows, meditation, but I think a lot of people don't realize the right way to meditate. And there's your basic foundation of how you can meditate and calm your mind down a little bit and just kind of appreciate everything. So, but yeah, I mean, for me, I did my own little research. I basically like bought a couple of books on like basic, like I think basic meditation, and I just
Mhm.
kind of read about the whole philosophy of it, and then the benefits of it, and then how to practice it the right way. They actually literally like tell you the kind of space that you want to look for, and then how the breathing technique, and then how you slow everything down and just kind of appreciate the moment. So yeah, so I think it's been a few years for me now. My intent is to always find a time to meditate daily, but truth be told, there are times that I miss it because
Mhm.
it's just, I have one of those days like I start and boom, 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 it doesn't end until when I come home in the evening. And at that point, my body and my mind is just not really in the right state and the condition to meditate. So, but every time I find patches of times here and there, I take advantage of it. Like I said, I don't need an hour. For me, I don't need an hour of meditation. I would take it if I had it, but a lot of times I don't. So a good 20 minutes is enough for me. And or whatever it takes for me to get to that point, like, okay, I'm good now, you know. And then you talk about that whole balance thing when I feel like, okay, I'm good to go.
Yeah. And for me, I don't know about you, but like, I don't really notice anything right after meditation. I don't feel significantly better. It doesn't feel like, woohoo, okay, I'm ready to attack my day. I just feel pretty normal and level. But if I go for a certain number of days without meditation, that's when I really notice it. That's when I'm like, okay, I'm definitely missing something, and I haven't meditated in a week, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't notice it right away, but if I don't do it, then I notice something happening.
That's a great point. I feel the same way where I don't know. I may have that, for me, I may have that initial after the meditation. I feel like there's that immediate bit of a relief, right? Or kind of like put things together. But you're right. It's when you don't do it for a while that you realize you're missing it. And then it's time for me to find a time tomorrow or something in the next couple of days to just really put time aside and just sit down and do my thing, because and then kind of bring yourself back down and ground yourself, and then it's like taking medication, I guess, in a way. It's a natural medication for you to just kind of reset and then recharge yourself and just go again. So
yeah. And there's almost a withdrawal process if you stop meditating, just like a medication. You know, it's like there's different brain chemistry that's happening in your head, and it's okay, I'm finding myself getting a little bit more agitated, or I'm in traffic yelling at somebody. It's like, okay, maybe I need to take a little time to myself.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Well, Vic, you're a badass, man. It's always an honor to chat with you and just catch up. And that's really all I wanted to do here. People, I know you have a website, so where can people find you? Is it just runningwithvic.com, or do you have...
runningwithvic.com is the URL. And then there's information in there about what I do, what I offer. And then you can also find me on Facebook under Once Upon a Run. And then and then I'm always happy to share a lot of my clients successes in Facebook, in social media, or sometimes it's Instagram, because I want people to see what they're capable of doing if they put the time and effort to invest in it. And then I always say, like, I'm always just my client's co-pilot, like I tell them, I feel like as your running coach, this is what you need to do to get to where you want, but you are in the driver's seat. And what I mean by that is, I can't go to your house and knock on your door and say, get up and run. You have to do that and hold yourself accountable. And I can only do so much. So it's a good combination. So I mean, I have no intention of changing anything with my career. I think this is going to be it for me. I mean, I'm very happy with what I'm doing, and to me, it's all about that, man. Just being happy. And like I said, it's like a thick wallet for me, I don't think is going to make me happy. It's like sometimes the less you have, the better.
Big time.
I mean. So that's just going to be, I think, my approach to it. So,
yeah. Good stuff, Vic. I always like where your head's at, and it always like just calms me down maybe one notch talking to you. So I appreciate it, man.
Dude, I appreciate that very much. And I appreciate you and all the things that you do. Keep doing the good work, brother. Trust me, I get in there and I look, and I see what you're doing. Continue doing it. Don't do that. We talk about that passion. I think you and I have that. A lot of people in our industry do. You have to, in order to enjoy what you're doing. I always wish you the success that you deserve. and the happiness that you desire, it's there for you. We just have to go keep, pursuing it. And I appreciate you, really appreciate you thinking of me and then getting me back on your podcast here. I really, really appreciate it.
Oh, of course, man. Like I said, it's always a pleasure and an honor just to chat with you and catch up. Yeah, man. So good stuff.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you so much for doing this, brother. Get yourself some sleep and have a great rest of your week. And if you ever come out to Colorado, you better look me up, man.
Oh, you got it, dude.
We got a spare bedroom here for you and Sarah.
Oh.
And if you're doing a race out here, I'm pacing you, whether you like it or not, man. I'm coming out and I'm going to help you.
No, you got it, dude. If I ever, next time I'm back in Colorado, you'll be the first person that I'm going to reach out to. I appreciate it very much.
Awesome. Cool, brother. Well, take care of yourself and talk to you soon. Stay in touch.
All right, Adam. Take care, man.
Okay. We'll see you.
Okay. Yep.